Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this edition of Leak Project. I'm your host, Rex Bear, and we have Cino Davine with us. Now, this is very interesting. The way that he got in contact with me was incredible. Like, I got an email a few weeks ago. He says, Rex, I'm interested in doing an interview with you. I'm a legitimate psychic. I have some life-changing info that you will not find anywhere else. I promise you that for whatever reason I have been chosen to deliver a message. It's extremely important to get out. Please contact me ASAP to discuss this. So I thought about it and I said, okay, I get tons of emails all the time. A lot of people that claim they've got pictures of Nibiru or, giant reptilian shapeshifters with 50 eyeballs on their arms. And I'm being sarcastic about that second part, but I get a lot of very interesting emails. So I said, okay, I'm going to reach out to this guy, and something felt right. So here we are, and he's got a really cool YouTube channel that he just set up that I would recommend you guys go to if you're interested in knowing more about Cino after this interview. So I will give that to you right now. It's Davine Vigilant. Now, the Divine isn't spelled like your typical divine. It's D-A, Vine Vigilant on YouTube and on Facebook. So, hey, thanks a lot for joining us, Cino, here at the Leak Project. How the heck are you?
Great. Glad to be on the show. Glad you reached back out to me, Rex.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Anytime that I feel there's important information that needs to get out there, if somebody reaches out to me and says they have important information, I'm willing to hear what that is. So glad that you're here. Had a few minutes to talk to you off the show. Obviously, it'd be nice to know a little bit about you before we get into this pertinent information that you feel we need to know about. So tell us a bit about yourself, and let's go from there.
Right. Well, I'll just start with a little bit of background. I've never really been into the whole metaphysical or the occult or the psychic stuff or even the political conspiracy theories or anything involved in that nature. I've always pretty much, I do construction as a profession. I'm one of those people that are, very logical and no BS type of person. I've just, like I said, I never really was involved in anything like that. So my mother started giving, started using tarot cards, and I never believed in them and thought that they were an accurate, tool for, for whatever it is that they do. I viewed them as something that was, I have a little bit of background. I was in Awanas when I was, young, and I went to Sunday school and things of that nature. So I do have some background with the Christian faith. So I was superstitious, and I didn't believe in the tarot card thing. And she would always try to give me readings, and I would always resist and tell her, I don't want nothing to do with them. Don't pull no cards on me, and just basically keep it away from me. But regardless, so that turned me off to the whole psychic thing. I thought it was just a bunch of BS. So in about 2006, I had basically this person. I was working. This kid I met that it just so happened his name was Seth, and that's a very important name in the Bible as well. But he started, he would talk about things like Nephilim and things of that nature, and just like David Icke and all that conspiracy stuff. And I had never been exposed to anything like that prior to meeting this guy. So he would talk about these things all the time, and I would kind of half-heartedly listen and just kind of laugh to myself about some of the stuff that he said, but it was fascinating. So nevertheless, I after that job had been done and over with, I started looking into some of these things on my own. So there was a when I'm sure your viewers can relate, when you first find out about all this information that we're deprived, and basically it's all shrouded in lies and conspiracy and this, that, and the third. When you first get into it, it's astonishing, and you want to know as much as you can, and you feel like you've had the wool pulled over your eyes, and you want to find the truth. So that's what I did. I embarked on my quest for the truth, and after countless hours, I'm sure everybody can relate that, like I said, that's into it. After countless hours of just looking for any bit of information that I could on various topics and subjects, I got a good foundation in all this stuff that's going on, and I was able to basically use my own intuition to decipher truths from fictions based upon my own logic and my deductive reasoning, and so on. So moving forward, I wanted to get a kind of a basis of where I come from and my belief system on it. So I believe it was 2009, I ended up getting into a little bit of trouble for some marijuana. And as I was sitting, I had to go through the system. And as I was sitting inside of that place when we're being scolded by the government, I guess, I was looking at some trouble, and I thought to myself, if this, I was along that at that point in time, I was, of the manifest. Well, I didn't entirely believe it. I just thought that there could be some merit to it. So I basically was looking at a impossible, hopeless situation that I was looking at. I got set up by a good friend for some marijuana for quite a bit, and I was looking at quite a bit of time. And I told myself that if there's something to this, if this actually works, then it needs to work now, obviously. So for 2 months, every day, I forced all thoughts of negative outcomes out of my mind. I continued, every day I was just positive, and I knew that it would work itself out. I knew that that I had nothing to worry about, and since I've been young, I've always had this weird thing about me that when there's, like, for example, if there was a hurricane going on, I don't get scared, I get excited. And it's this weird thing where when I'm in danger, or when I have something that's pressing, down on me, rather than, fear it, I kind of embrace it and just turn the energy into something else. I've done it innately since I've been a kid. And so I continued, to research for a couple more years on things, and I started applying these things in my life. I'm sure, everybody's heard of the book The Secret and things of that nature. I don't really agree too much with The Secret, because that's another one of those things that have been put out there to give you half-truths. But so anyway, after basically, I'd say a good 6 or 7 years of research, and I started applying certain techniques and certain things, I had, let's say, my epiphany. We're going to go to 2013, and I've always wondered how these people, I've seen many psychic shows, you see psychic detectives on TV, and there's obviously something to it. So I've always been curious as to how it's possible. How do these people do this? Like, how is it possible, and why can't everybody do it? So I've always, been interested in this. So I can pinpoint this to the second week of November 2013. Now, I do music. I'm a producer. I sing. I do all types of stuff. But I was sitting in my studio, and I was basically looking at the screen. I don't know if, I'm sure some people know what the music programs look like, Pro Tools or whatever. There's a screen, and you move your sound waves around it, just like when you're editing a video. And the back wall represents time, and it's by the milliseconds, and everything has to be in sync, and you can hear the frequencies and the octaves when you put a note, when you put a voice wave, in a place that isn't correct. It doesn't click in, it doesn't ring out. And I was, this was when I first started getting into production, and I was just basically sitting there one day, just moving stuff around, and just this understanding of time just started coming to me. And as I was sitting there, I went to blink, and as I blinked, in my mind's eye, like the way you see things when you visualize them, I seen a hawk, like a hawk, fly through my face. It was eye to eye, beak to nose, and it flew. It was the most vivid picture I've ever seen in my mind, and it flew directly through my face. Like, as I blinked, in that split second, it just went and just flew through my face. And it was pretty unsettling. I've never experienced anything that I didn't control. Physiologically or through my mind or whatever. I've never experienced anything happen to me like that. So I decided to go in that same pal talk that I knew my mother used to go into, and look for a psychic to ask what that meant. So I go in, and I go into the one room, and I basically, I just shot the question out. I said, I don't want to sound crazy or anything, but I just had a hawk fly through my face, eye to eye, nose to beak, and is there anybody that can tell me what it means? That can tell me what it means? And nobody really responded, and I get this private message, and the username, and I've spoken with her since, so I told her that I was going to be doing this so I can release the name, but the username was Talking Hawk to You, with the letter, or the number 2 and the letter U, Talking Hawk to You. And she messaged me, and she says, that's a powerful sign from the Creator trying to get your attention, and I was like, well, let me rewind this a little bit. So 3 months before this, this is something I can't leave out. I'm at my mother's house, and she's on this new deck that she got, these oracle cards, and da 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And my mom's not a crazy person either. She's very logical as well, and whatever. She's not like what you'd think is this crackpot, Miss Cleo. So anyway, she's like, let me give you a reading. I'm like, no. She's like, come on. So I'm like, all right, go for it. So she pulled 3 cards on me, and one was a frog and one thing else. I don't remember the exact cards, but I remember the message. So the frog was, she's like, intuition and da 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 da, and basically the universe is going to open up to you, and all these powers, and this crazy stuff is going to happen, and you're going to meet a shaman, and they're going to guide you, and all this, crazy stuff. So I was like, well, that's pretty cool, and so whatever, that was that. So I just kind of blew it off, and she's like, see, it says you're going to meet a shaman, and here you are, and I'm your mommy, and I'm the shaman. So I was just like, yeah, whatever, So 3 months goes by, and that experience took place, and this woman messages me, and she's like, the Creator's trying to, basically send you a message and get your attention, and you need to start listening to your inner voice and sensors and your spirit guides. And at that point, the word spirit guide, I had a gist of what it meant, and because the events that transpired after this hadn't happened yet. So she basically tells me all this stuff, and it happens that she was house sitting for these people in Canada, and she wasn't a regular internet person, and she, like I said, she was house sitting for these people, and they basically set her up on the internet and on Pal Talk to keep her busy while she was there, watching these people's house for a week. So she was only on for 1 week, and in that 1 week period, I went in, put that in, and she messaged me. So it turns out that she's a shaman, and she lives, like I said, in Canada, and she's, out every day on, these spirit quests and things like that. She goes hiking, and she's a very grounded, spiritual type healer, and, things of that nature. So she started explaining, some things to me that started making sense with, I've always seen animals my whole life. Like when I meet people, if I meet somebody, I get the impression I meet them right away. And before there was a written or spoken language, the natives used basically the language of animals, and hieroglyphics. They use animals and symbols and signs, and there's been the animal language before there was the spoken or written language, because animals have certain characteristics that distinguish them from others. And each one of those characteristics, can be basically interpreted as a certain specific message. That's why we have in astrology, you have a horoscope, and that's true as well with the native beliefs. But you have a totem. I came to find out that my totem is a hawk. Coincidentally enough, and that word coincidence, used lightly, nothing happens by coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. I'm sure people have heard like it's a hawk, and that blew my mind, because I had been hit in the face by a hawk. So and not only that, but Talking Hawk to You was the one who responded to me asking what it meant. So like I said, we start talking, and I'm just going to get into when it started happening. So the one morning I go to sit on the toilet like I do every morning, and as I'm sitting there, I have this toy top spinning in my mind, a toy top, T-O-P, top. And I'm looking at this top in my mind's eye, or in my third eye, and I started going down this different line of thinking. I'm like, if somebody was trying to communicate to you and they were only able to use pictures, and you had to assign that picture one word, what is that word? And it's your base interpretation for what that picture means. So to me, a top would mean balance. To you, it may mean something completely different. There's nothing wrong. It's individualized by your interpretation of what these things mean. So my interpretation of a top would be balance. All right, yeah, so I seen this top, and I interpret a top as balance. So I'm like, all right, great, balance. So that was that. I start going on about my day, and later on in the day, I went to work, and like I said, I do construction. I build homes. I'm a contractor, and I'm in the truck, and we're riding, two of the guys I work with are riding down the road, and I had this word pop into my mind, echinacea. And I wasn't quite too sure what echinacea was. I thought it was a plant. Well, I knew it was a plant, but I thought it was a flower at first. I wasn't really too sure on what it was. So I told myself, I got to remember to look that up when I get home. So I get home. I couldn't remember the word. When you try to remember something, I just couldn't remember it. So anyway, I'm sitting there, and for whatever reason, I start looking up something about trains. And so in the middle of doing this, I go in to take a shower. And as I'm in the shower, I have shampoo in my hair, and I'm washing my hair. And I closed my eyes to wash the shampoo out. And as I did that, I seen it was a tiger. I can't remember what the first animal was, but it was there was something. Then I think it was a tiger. It was a tiger, then a seal, then a bear. And the bear looked at me and turned back around like to walk into a cave. So I'm thinking to myself, what the hell could that possibly mean? So I finishing up, and Rex, I swear to you on everything that I love, as I closed my eyes again, I've seen it was like I warped somewhere, and I seen myself tethered between the sun and the earth, and everything was connected by a spider web, like a thin strand of light that looked like a spider web. And all of the planets, everything, were connected by this thin string of light that looked like a spider web. And I was tethered, I was tethered in the same position as Jesus Christ was on the cross, but between the sun and the earth, arms outstretched, and I was just, in the middle, so to say, between the earth and the sun, in this grid is the only way I could say it. At the same time that I seen myself that way, a voice spoke to me and said, star seed, tap into the grid. Now, I swear to you on everything that I love, I'm not one of these people that bullshit and that are looking for attention, telling stories. This is legit. So this voice says to me, star seed, tap into the grid. So I was just completely floored, because it wasn't like a thought. When you think something, I just want to explain this real quickly. When you think something, your thoughts resonate from what your desires are, and your ego, a whole range of things, but your conscious thoughts are all of you. When you're not thinking, and you basically do the opposite of think, which is receive and channel, you're receiving thoughts that aren't thoughts, they're information, and they come in the form of these pictures, because that's how we see things in our mind. And so I was just basically blown away by this, because I knew that it wasn't something that I had thought. It wasn't like I just went in the bathroom to take a shower and thought of this on my own. It came to me. So after this happened, it's ancient, and this explained a whole lot for me after I seen this. I seen this Indian. He looked as old as time, and it was a side profile view of his face. And his face was the color of the rainbow, but it looked like, when you look at it when you're driving, and when they take the roads, and they basically like a rock face has different layers in it, and the different layers are different colors in the rock face. And his face looked the same way. His face had different layers in it. He looked like stone. And every one of those layers of his face were a different color. And like I said, it looked like the rainbow. And everything around him, like a desert type backdrop or something. It was real. Nothing was defined around his face, but just his face. So I was just like, that was my ancestor, and that was one of my spirit guides, and I was completely blown away. So the best way to research is this. I googled what does having a vision of a bear mean and all these different things. So I stumbled upon this site called shamanism.com, and it's a collection of all the Native Americans, what their belief is in animals and what the animals mean when you see them. And it goes by their characteristics. And each animal has a different message, basically. So I start looking into this, and it said that there was going to be a tragedy that happened, and all of this something was going to take place. So I'm like, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. I'm like, oh man, what can this mean? So as I'm sitting there, I kept having trains run through my mind, like trains. So I'm thinking to I'm trying to piece all these things together. I didn't really understand what none of it meant, and I just knew that I wasn't going crazy because, like I said, So I'm trying to piece this together. I started looking up, I started Googling trains, and this is like I said, pretty much the day that the water broke the dam. So I start Googling trains and stuff like that, and I'm like, why the hell do I keep having trains run through my mind? So I go to pick my wife up from work, and as I get, as we're riding on the way back in the car, I'm like, you're gonna think I'm absolutely crazy, but this morning I was in the shower and I had this vision, and there was a bear and and then I kept having trains run through my mind all day, and I seen this Indian, and the bear told me that there was going to be a tragedy, and I keep having trains running through my mind. She stops me dead. She's like, wow, that is pretty crazy. She's like, you didn't hear on the news tonight that a train rolled off the tracks in New York and like 3 people died? And I live in PA. So I'm like, get out of here. Are you kidding me? She's like, no. I'm serious. I'm like, wow, that is unbelievable. So I'm like, there's no way. It was a specific thing that there was going to be a tragedy, and trains kept running through my mind. And I go to pick her up, and she tells me, that the train flipped over and 3 people died. So I'm, I seen it. So I go home, and I go to take a pee. And as I go to take a pee, I see this plutonium rod in my mind, which, when, like on The Simpsons, Homer works at the plutonium. Oh, I really just now put this together too. I've been seeing a lot lately with The Simpsons and how they predict all the events that are happening. But regardless, I seen a plutonium rod in my mind, and thinking to myself, how do I interpret that? So to me, my interpretation of that was toxic. So moving forward, the next day comes, and we're at her job, and I'm downstairs telling one of her coworkers, all this crazy stuff that's been going on, and I'm like, yeah, so I seen this bear yesterday, and trains were running through my mind all night, and there was this train accident last night. I go home, I see a plutonium rod, He's like, whoa, what did you just say? He's like, dude, I was watching the news this morning again. He's like, there was a train heist in Mexico where 7 guys tried stealing plutonium off a train, and they all got radiation, and they're in the hospital. I mean, you could Google this stuff. This isn't 2013. So I'm like, at that, when he told me that, I'm like, there is absolutely no way. Like, what are the odds of these things synchronizing and lining up? So that's when I was like, holy shit, there might be something to this, So I started, that changed my whole analysis process of all the things that were going on in my mind. So like I had said, I got in that little bit of trouble for the marijuana, so I had a bracelet on. And that was probably 8 o'clock in the morning or something like that. I leave the house, I'm driving down the road, and at this point, everything I seen, I started seeing, as basically something talking to me. So I see a raven sitting on the guardrail. So I'm trying to Google what a raven means, whether I'm trying to figure out if it's a crow or if it's a raven, and what the meaning is. So at the same time, I look up and I see a red and blue flash on the guardrail. And what's your first instinct when you're driving and you see a red and blue flash?
Police.
So, exactly. So I automatically, slow down, and I started assessing my environment. So I look up, and on the right-hand side of the road, there's a van and a car, but there's no cop car. So I'm like, I know I just seen a red and a blue flash on the guardrail. I know I didn't. So then my second thought is, well, if everything, keeps going like it has been, then there's got to be one sitting up here, and I didn't have a license at this point. And like I said, I was on house arrest. So I'm driving up the road, and I get up around this blind corner about 2 miles down the road, And as soon as I come around the blind corner, sure enough, sitting right on the highway with the radar gun out. And I would have been flying past there, and that would have been opening a whole can of worms that I wasn't really trying to open. So, I've seen it before it happened. So this is like the first day or two of me. It's like learning how to fly. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. And this was the first day or two of these experiences where I really started understanding. So since then, it's progressed to a level that, I'm just going to, this is where the important information comes in. I just wanted to basically give a background of my experience and what led me to this line of thinking and, to the events. So a couple months after, I started getting all this stuff coming to me, I had like 4 days basically where I was just shown, one thing after another. And the way I was shown was I was like physically and mentally here, but when I close my eyes, I can see, this thing playing out. So so for the next 4 days, I basically, the first day, so for example, I was in Hollywood, and everything was, so, well, that wasn't the first day. I was in Hollywood, and everything was made of gold. And there was a stream that was going through the middle of all this, and there was, everything was made of gold. And there was all these people in the stream trying to get the gold out, and I was in there too. So it was like the stream was like made of concrete, and it was bound through Hollywood. And there was like little trinkets and all types of stuff. It was all made of gold. So there was all these people trying to pick the gold out, and a little pile built up. I'd go back to get more, and it would disappear when I went back to put more there. And it was just this insane, like, this is the first time I tried fasting. Okay, fasting is, I'm sure you know what it is, but fasting is one of the most powerful tools to basically tap into this, along with a couple other things, but I'll go in a minute. But fasting basically deprives you of the physical energy, which basically leads to your consciousness. After like, I don't know, 4 days maybe, and it was like it was like on the fourth day, I believe, and 4 is a significant number to me. I'll talk about that in a minute too. But so anyway, I was fasting. So every time I'd get this pile built up, it would disappear, and I'd go back, and this is all happening in my mind. I'm opening my eyes and like able to talk and converse with people, and like I'm here, but I was somewhere else in my mind. So every time I got this pile built up, it would disappear. So this just went on. This was all day. Like, this was just the overwhelming thing that was going on in my mind. So like I said, I kept up my eyes to see if it would like go away or disappear, like blinking and open, and like at the point when this was going on, I was just kind of like kicked back, like meditating, like in a meditative state, with like my eyes not closed but not open. They were like just kind of half open, half closed, like in meditation, like just kind of like when you stare at the wall or something so long that you lose vision, or that it becomes blue. So anyway, that was the first day. The next day, I don't know if this is appropriate to talk about. That's why the first day, actually, I was in this boat, and it was in this town. It was somewhere in like New Orleans or something like that. And I was with this family. They were all like drug addicts. And I was just there, and it was just misery and pain and suffering all day. And it just felt like I could feel what they felt, and I was just watching it. Like, I was there with them, but like I couldn't interact with them, and they couldn't see me, but I was just like kind of like just a presence that was there with them. And it was just the most depressing, like painful existence that I could imagine that they lived. And there was these children, and they ranged in age up to about like 15 or something like that, and they were all drug addicts as well. So I was basically just witnessing this for one of the days. And the third day, everything completely changed. The third day, I was in basically this fashion show on the beach, and it wasn't like it was just, there was no time, and it was like, if you could picture paradise, that's what it had felt like to me. But nobody spoke a spoken language, and there was like everybody was beautiful, and nobody spoke, and you just understood what everybody was saying without speaking. And I was kind of just, wandering through people, and in communication with each other. It was like perfect, like harmony. And it was just like, there was no time, there was nowhere to be, there was nothing to worry about. It was just, the most tranquil, peaceful, existence that you could possibly imagine. Like I said, like if you could compare it to, paradise or whatnot. So that continued, for the whole day. And then on the fourth day, this is, where it gets crazy. Fourth day, everything changed. So I'm hooked to this. This is 100% the truth. This is how it happened. So I'm hooked to this computer, and I'm downloading the information of the unit. It's downloading into my mind, and I'm uploading it into this computer, so I can go back and reference it at any point in time. And I was basically in this ship, or it was it was a ship, and there was two people. And they were full Chinese, and they had white suits on. And there was a man and a woman, and they had brown hair, and they were Chinese. They looked Oriental, and they were speaking to me peripherally through my thoughts. And I heard him saying in the background, he's creating new universes, he's creating new galaxies. We've never had anybody with this much potential. Da 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 da. And I watched the evolution of a soul take place. And I watched a soul as it starts from this basically like one-celled type organism. Actually, this is going to sound real crazy, but I watched it wiggle through like the barrier of reality, which it came through basically your sexuality. And I watched it like wiggle through, if you can picture what I mean, and it's crazy because just the other day I seen something that was the same type of theme, but it wasn't identical, but I seen it, like if you can imagine a root going through like the dirt. I seen that's how we come through into this physical reality, but it's through our sexuality. And then, our heart is basically, a star that creates like a battery. So I watched us basically wiggle through, and we can't come in as this like one-celled type organism and evolve through millions and billions of years and galaxies and star systems and everything that you can imagine, in every form that you can imagine, we go through, we experience everything. And I watched as this evolution. It was like the way I seen it though was it looked like blueprints, the way blueprints do. So like it was the most insane that's ever happened. So I watched it come all the way through, and in this life, you're supposed to experience everything that is possible to experience before you basically ascend or move on to the next through the next octave or through the next level. And I seen that, like, for example, in one life you're meant to learn this example, you're meant to live that example. And I don't believe in things like, I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but I don't believe that, like two men should be with each other, or, things like that. And I was shown that is a false belief, because to me that goes against the Bible and everything that I believe in. But I was shown that isn't correct, that I need to get through that, because in one of my lives or one of your lives or anybody that's listening, we're meant to experience that, and we will experience that. It's just what happens. And we're meant, it basically comes down to this sexuality thing. And there's more to this vision, but I'm just going to explain this real quick. From the day we're born, we're taught, who to love, why to love them, and we're taught everything about the way that our relationships go. And there's this thing called the Oedipus complex. You might have heard of it, where they say that we're destined to basically have a resentment with our father and fall in love with our mother, because from the day you're born, your mother basically is the one who shows you what love is and fulfills your needs. And everything in life is based on needs and the fulfillment of those needs. And just all these different things. But I was shown that feeling that we get, most people, like, this might be inappropriate for your show, but this is deep. This is a little bit different than what you're used to hearing. Like I said, I get my information from different sources than most people generally do. So I was seeing that this feeling that we have when we're stimulated, for example, or that feeling that you would probably refer to as horny, that feeling is basically letting us know that we're activating our energy, okay? And I'm sure a lot of people have heard of chakras. And our chakras are our energy, our centers in our body, and it starts with your root chakra and it goes to your crown chakra. And it's called the serpent fire, or activating your chi, or there's many different names for it. Well, we're all, from the day we're born, we're basically manipulated and taught in our sexuality is basically pressed on us. We have no choice in it because we're raised. And anybody who's been raised by somebody else has been, David Icke talks about the great repeaters and things of that nature, how we just keep repeating. That there's a lot of truth in that. But this is 100%, legitimate. So we're taught that, for example, say you have that feeling, you're supposed to have that feeling for everybody equally. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, we place sexual intent on things from the way that we're taught as we're growing up. So that's really our root, is our key to basically unlocking this energy, because that's where it comes from. And that's where it starts with. So you're taught from the day you're born, you're supposed to feel, you're supposed to love this person for that reason, or you're supposed to love that person for this reason, and all these things. And you're taught that, that those things go hand in hand with sex. Well, they don't, because sex is for one thing and one thing only, and that is for reproduction. All the emotional things that, are taught to us by society, by culture, by our parents, those things are all false. And they're all the main thing that keep us all down, because they prevent us from releasing thoughts. They prevent us from tapping into our root, or our reservoir of power. And that feeling isn't supposed to be deviated with sexual intent. That feeling of being horny, if you want to call it that, shouldn't be associated with sex, because it has nothing to do with it at all. That is basically an antenna that is to tell you that you are activating your energy and you're activating your chakras. And a lot of people develop illnesses and things like that, like Crohn's disease and, cancers and things like that. They develop these because they're suppressing these energies because of the way that they've been taught and the way that they've been raised their whole lives. And when you suppress these energies, they push themselves out regardless, and they're going to manifest in negative frequencies. That vibration is everything, frequency is everything. Sound, I'm an engineer, so I can tell you firsthand how everything in this world relates to frequency and music, and the vibration of that frequency, or the oscillation of it, in different measure, and what is what gives form and shape to everything. The planets, each planet has basically a tune, or a pitch, or a vibration, and it's the alignment of those planets that create different chords, if you want to look at it like that, in music. If you're an Aries or a Scorpio, or any of these different things that give you your horoscope, that's the alignment of the planets when you were born, or the pitch or the tune or the frequency that was in vibration during the time that you were developing in the womb. So that means your mind developed under the certain frequency of a certain alignment of the planets. And that is what distinguishes us from other people with our horoscopes, and that's why horoscopes do have merit to them. And everything works like that. But regardless, so we are a field. The Earth projects its own field and its own vibration, and we are an extension of it, and that is an extension of the next and the next, and so on. Everything is interconnected, and everything is in flux at the same time, just separated by the perception that's placed on it. So anyway, I seen this whole thing come down to, basically telling me that I needed to do away with, getting back to the vision, I needed to do away with this false belief that I had, and that I needed to start embracing and loving people equally without judgment. Because as we judge people, we basically condemn ourselves, because a judgment is not interpreted, there's no magic thing that's like when we judge somebody that sends it to them and makes them feel it, and them only. We experience, other people's feelings and things like that through ourselves. Empathy is the ability to relate to someone's situation through having the same feelings and through these same experiences. It comes from within. So I watched this evolution, and I watched, all the way as we basically go through all this. We develop in order to basically to gain enough knowledge to basically take control of our ship or our light body, or whatever you want to call it, and to move forward into the next octave, because the sacred number 7 and everything, and 12, and there's 7. I'm not even going to get into all that, but it was something that showed me a whole different array of things. So after this happens, this computer that I said that I was hooked into, that I was able to, the feeling, I mean, this is going to sound crazy, but the feeling that I had why this was taking place was coming from my root chakra, okay? And it was just a buzzing, vibrating energy. I'm sure, people do stuff with tantric meditations and things of that nature, and the Egyptians, the Ankh and all that stuff, they used it for basically sex magic, because they realized that there was an energy there that could be tapped into. So after that the whole like scene played out, I was basically in this in my thoughts, but my thoughts were like a computer, and it was just like a music program. I could turn a little knob, and it was a little bit crooked, so turn one knob and I'm able to tune it into perfectly symmetrical, and then raise the eyebrows a little bit, or the cheeks or the chin, or able to move things around, however it was. So anyway, what happened was I created this perfectly symmetrical face that I no longer recognize, and I was just completely, sick. I was so, depressed. So I was trying to tune her face back in, because all the little, imperfections and things that make us us are the things that make us us. So I was trying, I felt like I had changed so much. I felt like I had lost her. So I remember just frantically trying to tune her face back in. I was shown basically at the end of this whole vision, I was shown I was able to create anything, and that was like instantaneously manifesting it. Anything, any physical object, anything. And while I was in there, I decided, well, in there by like in the vision or whatever you want to call it, I decided, well, why don't I could go for some smoke right now. So that's what I basically manifested. And now keep in mind, through these 4 days, I was able to tap into this at any point. I like I told you, I was there, and so I created exactly what I just told you, and I instantly shut myself off to this connection. Instantly, as soon as I created, I apologize if I offend anybody, but I created a blunt. Okay, well, it wasn't even a blunt. I'm gonna be honest. The point, because I kind of left people hanging with the last one. I was saying I seen the top, and I had the plutonium rod come to me, and, toxic and echinacea. I got to finish that real quick. So my hand got pretty much halfway ripped off, and I had reconstructive surgery, and So they put me on Oxycontin, and I'm sure the devastating effects of those. So I was taking those at the time, and my spirit guides were more or less sending me these messages. The top meant balance. Echinacea just so happens to be one of our leading exports to country. I looked this up, to countries like Germany and all over Europe, and it's used in most cold medicines and things like that, but only in small amounts. Well, there was all these studies and stuff like that done that echinacea is basically a natural cure for everything, and it's been suppressed since the 20s or 30s, because then we wouldn't need, medicines and the big pharmaceutical companies that push their agendas on us and, prescribe one medicine that has a side effect that you need another one to cure. And, the big money, big money making scheme. So anyway, the whole top and echinacea and the plutonium rod, it was, they were at the same time that it was telling me about the whole train thing and all that. It meant more than one thing. Like there was different threads running together at the same time that were different messages, and they don't even mean, it's not like they just mean one thing. It's like or I don't even know how to it's like multi. I don't even know how to explain it. They mean multiple things at once. These synchronicities. So anyway, so I basically in the end of this vision, I created uphill. I'm just gonna be honest. I know our viewers. I was just trying to stay away from it, but that's what it is. 90% of Americans are addicted to something one way or another, and they use it to cope with things. So that's what it was. And immediately as I created that, I shut myself off to this connection. I couldn't get back. I mean, that was it. Finito. It was done. I couldn't get back immediately upon creating that.
What I was talking about with the psychics, the reason psychics generally have to hold an item that belonged to the person is because, like I said, each person, when you touch something, the actual molecules that object is made of receives your energy. And it holds an imprint in its physical makeup. That's why crystals and things like that are so important. Crystal. The original computer was made out of a crystal. Crystal diodes. Quartz. There's crystals are significant, but that's a whole nother topic. But regardless, when you hold something, whatever item it is, it gets an imprint of your energy signature. And your energy signature, like I just said, contains everything about you. Your entire it's your entire, everything about you. Your thoughts, your emotions, everything that you've ever been through, everything that you can comprehend that's ever happened to you, and even through your lifetimes, is contained within a space that's not even measurable. So that's, in the quantum realm, if you want to call it. And the reason that these psychics need to hold an object, like I said, is because they use that energy signature of you, and they're able to go in, like when you're zooming in on a picture or something, they're able to zoom in to a specific point in time to see the person's death. They're able to tap into the last, look at it like a hard drive. The last bit of information that was written will be your death. And they're able to tap into that basically and see, what you've seen through your eyes and through the way that you've seen it. They're able to tap into that and basically relate it. So, originally what you're asking me about Thoth and Ra and everything, they all, like I said, they were ascended masters. They learned to use the templates of energy that are available to all of us. They learned, because there's nothing that is new. Anything that can be, or anything that has been, is and has always been. And it exists for everybody to be able to tap into. And it's, whether even, say me and you, for example, we're able to tap into the same channels at the same exact time of anybody in history, of anything that you can conceive. This thing is so far reaching, like it's everything. There's no we're not in this physical realm, we're we're trapped here. But when you die, you shed this skin and you're born into a new existence, and you basically become one with the ether, or whatever you want to call it. And I want to wrap this up. I'm just trying to give a foundation of it. So the point of what I'm saying is everything that in history that happens to our civilization, or that has happened to our civilization, there's multiple roads and outcomes that we can go down, by different choices. We elect this president, we elect that president, but each and every road converges in the all, because it's all simultaneously happening at once. And it goes in with string theory and multiple dimensions and all that stuff for the quantum physics people. But I mean, basically everything happens parallel, and the thing that creates that parallel is time. Time is something that we created to basically separate and to create this existence. When they talk about the fallen angels and the fallen beings, and the Lucifer project, that was what basically created us into this prison, because we're limited here by what we're able to do through the physical world. We don't exist in this state. We exist in this state to try to we've been put in this state, okay? We'll say the fall of consciousness put us in this state. As a collective, we all fell. And, in this state, we fell, we forgot everything about ourselves and everything about where I'm from and everything about what we are. And it's not about learning, it's about remembering. And in order to remember who you were, you need to forget who you are or who you've made yourself to be. Because we've all created this facade of who we are or who we want to be viewed as, and we're all a different person within. Some people's within matches their without, and those are the people that are genuine, that are more able to, that tend to be more psychic and spiritual and intuitive. And, we've really got to learn to separate, this world from the other world that we exist through, because we're more or less, this is more or less a game. We were put here, we took our own will back. I mean, it's hard for me to put it in words, but we've got to find our way basically out of this 3D or 4D, whatever you want to call it, this prison, back to ourselves. And your body doesn't need to die to accomplish this, because once you learn to transmute, and once you learn to really, and rather than holding the energy back, once you learn to be a conduit and to channel this energy, then you'll learn how to basically to raise and lower your vibrations and change your physiology. There was a guy called Dynamo Jack that they did this documentary on, and he was able to set newspaper on fire just by holding his hand over it with his chi and concentrating on it. He put chopsticks to tables, and he did all types of crazy stuff. And they were sitting around eating, and he put this chopstick through the table, through a wooden table, and just showing that that's the same as like somebody walking through a wall, and he did that, just showing some of the things that he was capable of doing with his chi and with this power. And he put this chopstick through, and it splintered, and it hit the one guy in between the eyes, and it caused him to bleed. So this Dynamo Jack, people that are interested in this, look it up. And he basically refused any more commentary and refused to do the rest of the interview, because he felt that he had offended his masters and his ancestors by drawing blood, and that he was told that he shouldn't be using his powers for the things that he was using them for. And he basically dropped all communication with this group of people. I think they're from like BBC or something. He dropped all communication with them, and they haven't spoke to him. That was in the 80s or something, or not early 90s. They haven't spoke to him since. So he found a way to tap into this stuff. But generally, the people that do find the way in are told not to speak about it, and they're told not to talk about it. And it's not by physical people. You're told by your ancestors and your masters, because some people are ready for lessons at certain times and some aren't. All right, and when the teacher's ready, the student appears. And when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And that's so true. But the thing about this free will that we have, this other side, this consciousness, is that we're able to control that and do what we want with it. And because of that, we're able to use our personality and incorporate that into making our decisions by by the core things that we hold, important to us. And I feel that it is absolutely essential. My life has been hell. I mean, plain and simple. I've been through a lot of shit wrecks, and I'm not going to go into detail, but I've been through the mill and back, and it was all things that I really had no control over, and it was just, it sucks. And I don't like seeing, people go through pain and misery and struggle when they don't need to be. We could all live here, coexist, and like truly sing Kumbaya every day. Like, it's corny as it sounds, but not even that. It's more about, we could coexist, and everybody could have what they needed, and everybody could, we could have communities of, spiritual advancement where people learn these things and where we explore the universe, the same way that a lot of these entities do, and that's through their mind. You understand? A lot of these UFOs and things like that, and these orbs and stuff like that, those are, once you develop past the need for physical things, you're able to use they call, V-manas and all that stuff, and your light body, and they had all types of names for them back in the day. But, it's the truth. Once you're able, once we start it's like this, our collective consciousness, holds this reality together. Okay, and there's people that say the Earth is flat, and like I was talking about earlier, and the hollow Earth and all that. Well, the Earth is all those things because we believe it to be. And as crazy as that sounds, that's how it works. And it's like the only reason that these things exist is because we basically intend them to. And that intention was started long before us, but it was us. Because as we move through the future, we're the same essence that continually evolves and moves forward based on the needs that we have. And as a people, we need to be more spiritual and conscientious of what's going on in the world, because our collective and each and every individual, they did this experiment. I'm sure everybody's heard of this monkey experiment that they did, where they were dropping these coconuts or whatever on the beach, and the monkeys or there were yams. They were dropping yams on the beach and in the sand, and the monkeys are eating them, and they didn't like the sand, but they ate them anyway, whatever. So a group of monkeys learned how to wash the sand off of these yams and eat them then. And then they did it on several different islands with a bunch of different groups of monkeys. And as soon as the one group learned, all the other groups learned simultaneously. And it just and they did another one with faces. And I'm sure a lot of people have seen the footage or the videos or whatnot on these experiments. But it just proves that we're all connected, because once one person starts thinking something, if you're sitting by your coworker all day and you're at work and you're thinking all types of things, your coworker's sitting next to you and they're having all these random thoughts pop in their mind, and neither one of you realize that the transaction's taken place, but it is. And then your thoughts affect that person, and then they go home with their wife and their family, and then they're reviewing their day, thinking about the shit that you were thinking about, and now their loved one is thinking about that shit, and it just echoes down the line. And everything is like that, and it's all an interweaving web that connects, and everything is intertwined. And we don't understand and we don't realize the power of the things that we think in our mind. As we think through the day, we just think that our thoughts are these things that are in our head that nobody can hear and that can't get out. Well, that's bullshit. Your thoughts are constantly traveling, and they're constantly being received, and they're constantly being sent and transmitted, and it's all of us. It's like a giant fluxing machine that just it's like a sound wave. The high and the low in a sound wave is the positive and the negative. Well, that's the same flux, just in different oscillations, which is the frequency, the rate at which it it vibrates basically. And as we vibrate through these lower pitches, look at it, think of like a music scale on the back, and understand that all these canceling frequencies and all these side frequencies that are dipping off the charts into the low end of the spectrum, negative waves, and then on the opposite side of the spectrum, in the positive, it's the exact same amount, because everything, that's just how it works with the duality. So when you start raising your curve from the negative and start pushing it up forward, then you start going through different octaves and different frequencies and different bands. And right now we're in a very low band. We're in a very low frequency. And frequency, as we all know, is what shapes matter. Well, not as we all know, but if you didn't, you do now. Frequency shapes matter. And like I was speaking about earlier, I'm going to try to get to the point here. It's important that these facts be known. So like I was speaking about with the planets, and each planet having its own specific frequency, its own specific pitch that comes from, that emanates from its center, its heartbeat. We all have our own specific frequency and pitch as well. And everything is in a big orchestra that just plays, and it's an ebb and flow, ebb and flow, ebb and flow. And once we're able to basically attach our frequency to the Earth's frequency, and then attach that into the rest of the planets and into the sun, that's how you achieve the halls of Amenti, which Thoth speaks about. And if you have time, I suggest you look up the Emerald Tablets. And I've read them, and they're 100% correct. It says in the beginning that they were published in the 40s or 50s or whatnot by the White Lodge, and all this other stuff. And there's a lot of talk on whether they're fraudulent or not. They are not. They are 100% accurate. And as it says, there's been a couple books that have been left out because of what the scope of what it says is. But the point is that we are on the Earth, so we vibrate with the Earth. The Earth's frequency is affected by the other planets, okay? And in turn, the Earth emits the frequency that basically has the other frequency as the planets in it, and the different positions that they're in changes the pitch of the Earth's frequency, which in turn emits a frequency upon us. And this whole Saturn matrix and they're only half correct with that, because it's not just Saturn, it's every planet. Every planet emits a frequency, and every planet's frequency interacts with the Earth, and they're all connected through the sun. Okay, it's a giant circuit, and each planet is physically connected to the sun by a vortex. Okay, and as the energies interact with the Earth, they basically shape us. And when we're being developed in the womb, we're being developed to a frequency. I'm sure people have seen the experiment where they take sand and put it on a plate, and they put it on a speaker or whatnot, and they pass different frequencies through it, and the sand resonates or vibrates to different frequencies and creates different geometrical patterns. Well, in essence, that's how we exist. But it's all, each scale and each frequency is a dimension, more or less. I mean, and then each one of those encapsulate its own, scale, and so on and so on. And basically, when you understand that we come from Mother Earth, from Gaia, we come from Mother Earth, we come from Gaia, and Father Sun, and all the animals, all the people, all the plants, all the things, rocks, everything, it's all sentient. It's all a living, breathing thing. Whether you can see rocks breathe or not is irrelevant, because they exist from the Earth. They come from the Earth, so they exist as a part of the Earth, and the Earth is a living being, okay? And we're attached to that living being. And when we dream, we connect with the Earth, and we connect with the energy of our brothers and sisters and our spirit, our ancestors, and and all that. So when you learn how to connect your frequency and ground yourself into the Earth, then you're able to it's like a satellite. It's like adding a power source to when you're transmitting a signal. It's like adding a power boost to your signal transmission, instead of just us trying to transmit our weak little signal. Being weak as in when you are being when you're thinking of yourself along the lines of being an individual, and you're trying to broadcast your will upon everything rather than working with nature. That was one of Nikola Tesla's biggest things, was working with the force, not against it. So when you learn that instead of trying to dominate things in this reality with your will, and you connect and ground into this reality and start using what the base frequency of us is, you're basically adding that immense amount of power behind it. And then there's more to it. There's more levels. Then there's the sun. Then there's the central sun. Then there's different galaxies, universe, everything. Everything's connected. Everything. And when you start connecting into these things is when you understand that really nothing means anything, and nothing has ever been done that's new. Everything exists perfectly. And everything has to exist for everything to have to exist. When you start saying all these things that don't make sense like that, then you'll start kind of having a grip on what I'm trying to say, because it's really we're everything and nothing at the same time. Like that's the type of half I'm going to try to steer away from this. I hope people are getting a grasp of what I'm trying to say, because what I'm saying is that all the energy is like, for example, what I was saying with the psychic. The energy imprint that's left in the matter is the same imprint that's left by all of us in the Earth's energy, and then each one of them is a fractal, going outwards and inwards, and that's where this power lies. And the only way to basically tap into that power is to stop trying to tap into your own power. And your own power is your conscious thought. That's the enemy, your conscious thought. That's the devil. Okay, those are the demons. Those are the things that steer you away. And when they talk about these people at the top of the ladders that are devil worshippers and worship demons and all that, I searched for a long time, Rex, and I'm this is the name. Okay, I'm not even going to say it because, you know, I'm already saying
Say
more
it.
than I'm just going to give the people at the top, okay? They understand.
Why don't you want to say it?
Because this subject is dangerous, whether people want to believe it or not. And the people that hold this information don't share it. And when they do, it creates problems. And I'm just not willing to do that. So I'm going to say what I wanted to say without saying what I was going to say. So the people at the top, they say that they're devil worshippers, and they say that this and that. The devil worship is the worship of basically your consciousness, okay? It's the worship of your will, okay? And you can create through your will, but that's another end of the spectrum. By creating with your will, you have to create in reverse. The reason being is because you're acting in the reverse of what the essence is. Now, when you understand that they create, like Aleister Crowley, they create through black magic. Because and they use like the song reversals from like the Beatles and stuff, and you know, all these things in reverse. Okay, the reason it's in reverse is because the devil, or your consciousness, or everything that you see around you, it controls this realm because it is this realm. And in order to get anything in this realm, you gotta want the opposite. It's got to be the opposite. So, you know, for example, like you want $1 million. Say every day that you don't want $1 million. I don't want to be rich. I don't want to be rich. You know, that's how their power works. They worship in reverse, because when you use your consciousness, you're using a different connection. You're using a different energy. So you got to understand that using a different energy, that energy is of the negative, because it's of the nothing. It doesn't exist. Okay? It only exists through us. Okay? The only thing that exists is God, is love. Okay? That's the only thing that exists. When you understand that our consciousness is what, you know, where the root of all of everything stems from, and our consciousness being your waking thoughts that you're listening to with me right now, when your consciousness controls everything, you got to understand that the reason that people curse themselves all day long is because that's why in the Bible it says, you know, those who are meek at heart shall inherit the earth, and those who do not want money shall inherit the riches of heaven, and all these things. Because, you know, Lucifer, there's something to this whole fallen star and Jesus and Lucifer thing, and that's a whole nother. I'm gonna save that for another topic. But the point is that while we're in the frequency that we're in right now, everything vibrates in reverse. So these people that have this, you know, secret ancient knowledge that they don't understand, but they're just trying to use for power, they use it in reversals, and they do all this blood sacrifice, and they're pedophiles, and they do all this shit because they're trying to basically build the energy in their root chakra to project a negative frequency on their desires. And males happen to be the negative, so that's why it's the men with men, and that's why all these gay guys, and that's why all this stuff is, because that's why I was talking about sexuality being such a big deal, because that sexuality is based in the negative for the men, and the women it's in the positive. And you give the negative to the positive to create the seed, or the person, you know, and these people at the top know this, and before, you know, that's why they do these things to little boys, and it's fucked up, excuse my language, and it's disgusting, and they have no idea what they're doing, and they're just basically following a set of principles and guidelines that have been laid down by people like Aleister Crowley, and these people that caught a glimpse of these things and decided to put their own twist on it. Because, you know, if there's so many, like, you know, that's the false prophets. You know, Aleister Crowley was a false prophet, and there's so many of them, you know, now that it's not funny. And the false prophets are the people that are trying to show other people how to utilize the power of nothing, or the power of this reality, which is something that doesn't exist. Anything, you know, anything of this, you know, just like it says in the Bible, anything of this reality will pass. Anything that passes isn't of God. Anything that doesn't last forever isn't of God. And we are of God. Our soul is of God. But this body isn't, and neither is any of the things that are around us. And it really comes down to, you know, all these energies and things like that. So, I mean, I kind of turned this onto a different road, but these are all important things. You know, there's so much more that I'm gonna try to get into the point. The point and where I'm trying to get is that I have been shown the way. Okay. Now, I posted a video. If you look on my page on Divine Vigilant, the first video that I posted. Now I made a conscious decision, and listen to my words, conscious decision. So that means I used my self-will. I made a conscious decision against the advice of my ancestors and my spirit guides and the people who keep me informed. And I made a conscious decision to release and to put this information out for people. Okay. Now, to me, I just want to give my perspective real quick. None of this matters. I've come to the doorway. Like, when you understand that none of this matters, then you stop fearing death. Okay, because what is our ultimate fear? Death is our ultimate fear, because it's the unknown, and that is not my ultimate fear. Okay, and I have two fears in this world that are things that I'll never not, even though I understand better, it's just maternal instinct. So I understand that nothing matters and everything will come to pass in due time. We've got forever. Literally, we've got forever. So this doesn't even matter. But the human side of me sees the struggle and sees the pain and sees the things that are happening to people around the world. And, it tears me up. And to see, like, kids and stuff like that don't, like you see the commercials in Africa, and, when you see stuff like that, if it doesn't hurt your heart, then you might be a part of the fallen or an alien, or a reptilian or something. Because if it doesn't hurt your heart to see the things that are going on in this world that are unnecessary, then you don't have the ability to even comprehend what I'm saying anyway. But the point is I was told that it doesn't even matter, because everybody, this is just a fraction of nothing in nothing. And I know that sounds crazy, but anyway, I decided to put this information out to people because, you have a great slogan, be the change that you want to see. And, that's so true. And, not for nothing, but this life means something to me. And I'm sure other people's do as well, So while you're here, why not make the best of it? And why not try to collectively try to change our future and try to change the things that are going on right now, whether you think you have control over it or not. It starts with you. And then once you understand that by you turning your conscious to a group conscious and, opening your mind to these things, that you'll start being shown the way and you'll see the path, and all the things that you see that continuously, manifest all day, that you're like, oh, I was just thinking about that. What a coincidence. Da, 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 da. Those are signs. Those are signs for you to find your way. And, it's I believe it's necessary for the way that everything's going, because I think that we're truly in danger at this point, and there is this is where we're getting into the important part. There is something coming, and there is something that's happening. Now, like every organism has an immune system. Now, when you get a cold or you get a bacteria or a parasite, your immune system begins to fight that off. Okay? And since we're all fractals, and since everything, is basically, as above, so below, and vice versa, we are essentially in a giant organism. I'm sure many people have thought, maybe we're just a germ in another big body. Well, we are. And that one's in another one, and that one's in another one, and those are dimensions. And we have become more detrimental to society in the last, 100 years. We've, quadrupled in population. Like, we're out using all of our natural resources faster than they replenish. By 2020, they're saying that we're going to have 14 billion people, and there's not going to be anything left. And Mother Nature has this funny failsafe built in that it keeps a status quo, so to say. And there's natural cycles that occur, and we've only been around for, according to scholars, 6,000 years. In reality, we've been around for millennia, but whether it was in different star systems, planets, it doesn't matter. We're here now, and we've gone through this before, and we're about to go through it again. This whole approaching system with the son of the creator, okay? what I was talking about before. The oldest known artifact that has ever been found was in South America, ironically, and wow, it was found in South America. So it has this eye on it, and it's a pyramid. It just so happens to be the same eye and pyramid that the Freemasons use, and it's on the dollar bill. And on the bottom, it has an inscription, gold laid, of the Orion star belt, or the Orion constellation, and the words that is the oldest known language that they've ever found, that was translated basically to saying, "The Son of the Creator shall return." So, all these ancient civilizations and cultures have left all these warnings and messages, the Bible, everything. Whether you believe in religion or not, the Bible has, the Bible is real. Okay, I'm just going to say that. The Bible is real. A lot of things have been left out. A lot of things have been changed around. But if you have the eyes to see, you will see. And, it talks about in Revelation all the things, to come to pass. And I've posted, there's a couple videos on my channel that I started touching on some of this stuff. And, all the basic revelations have been fulfilled. Okay, and there's this planet that comes around every, it doesn't even matter the time period, okay? It comes around, not very often, let's say that. And, everybody knows of the Nibiru, I'm sure that's watching this right now. Everybody knows of the Nibiru and the Nemesis system. And, there's not going to be an announcement. And it's coming. And it's not going to hit us, and it's not going to kill all of us. But it's going to kill a lot of people, because the people that don't want to listen and that don't want to listen to their higher feelings and their higher instincts right now are going to continue to go ignorantly about their day, and they're not going to prepare. Now, some people, don't care and don't want to know, what's coming and what's going to happen. But if you do, it's out there to find. So regardless, the system's coming around. I had multiple visions. Now, the reason I believe that I was given the mission that I was given. Now, I have a video that I haven't posted yet that for the first time that I've ever, I just seen a duck. That was, wow. I just blinked and seen a duck. So I'll analyze that in a minute. But anyway, so this system, is going around, and it's not, like I said, it's not going to kill everybody, and the people that don't want to know aren't going to know. The people that do are obviously here looking for answers. So I'm going to try to provide answers the best that I can for what I have been shown. Now, like I was saying, for the first time, since I've discovered this, the other day I had a chain of messages coming through, and I actually took out my phone, put my voice recorder on, and I recalled the first 5 things that I had seen, and then it started. Then it gets into it, and I just speak as the things come into my mind. And I was pretty floored. But I'm gonna have to get the video and everything and post it. Those that are interested in seeing it, it'll be uploaded here shortly. But the main thing that I'm trying to say is that I was shown that we're basically, there is going to be a pole shift, and there is going to be debris from the past of this planet that hits us, and there is going to be a population reduction of up to a third or up to 2/3 of the people, if not more. And I also seen this extraterrestrial factor where they're not okay. See, this is where there is races that take advantage of us and that have been taking advantage of us. But there is, I watch. There's let's say a group of extraterrestrials that basically monitor us and protect us. Okay, and they have been from the beginning of time and since the beginning of our creation. And if anybody knows the story of Enki and Enlil, Zachariah Sitchin and all this stuff, it shows the contrasting opinions between, their leaders on, the flood of Noah was created basically, as it says, to wash the Nephilim and the giants and all the, the abominations off of the earth that were created. back in the days that this other race of beings, they're called angels in the Bible. They're called the sons of God. They're none of that. They are, some of them flesh and blood, just like you and I. Some of them are spiritual entities. Some of them exist in higher frequencies. Some of them exist in lower frequencies. The ones that exist in the lower frequencies are the ones that these people, in the Illuminati worship and basically trade favors for and work for, more or less, and the ones in the higher realms, this war, this apocalypse, this war of angels and demons that's been going on, is basically the positive and the negative. And during this transition period of this planetary system, there will be an intervention. And it says that there's 144,000 in the Bible that'll be saved, and that it used to say in the Bible that a man and a woman shall be lying in bed, and one of them shall one of them shall be taken in the middle of the night, and the other one left. Now it says that two men shall be lying in bed. I mean, with this whole Mandela effect, it's just, but that's a whole nother story. But the point is that there will be the elect, the chosen. If you're chosen. If you have the frequency, like we all have an aura. If you're it's like say there's a sea of people, and every one of them people have their own color, and there's the people that are not, there's the blue people and the red people and the green people. Okay, the green people are the people that get it, that have love in their heart, that are good people, that try to help other people, and so on and so on. And then the red people are the people that like to hate people, that like to hurt people, that like to kill people, that like to do things like that. And the people that have evolved away from love. Okay, now if they were as they're flying around in their little UFOs and all this, our inner self shines. We emit a frequency, like I said. So everything about you is in that frequency, and that frequency also has a color. And that color, basically determines your personality, what type of person you are. And this 144,000 to be saved, from what I believe, are the people that are seen as the chosen or the elect, and are saved by either another race of beings, or if we are that, because we kind of are that race as well in the future, if you can understand what I'm saying. So it's either that our future self intervenes and saves our present self, or we save ourselves through our own, through the channels that I'm talking about right now, which is in essence the same thing. So I mean, it all comes down to basically, like I said, your ability to hold, like when this planet passes, okay, and this pole shift occurs, there's not only going to be the magnetic field, basically a null zone that takes place, but your memory, it's not like you're gonna get a text that says the pole flip's about to happen, and put your shields up for the next 24 hours. Like, that's not going to take place. Like, you're just going to be going on about your business, and then as soon as the pole flip happens, it's going to be perpetual, perpetually being confounded, split second after split second. You're not going to know where you are, what you're doing. You're not going to have any memory. And during that, there's going to be, natural events taking place on the earth. So you're going to, all at once, we're going to shift, okay? And that means our soul selves too. So once this shift takes place, everybody's going to be thrown out of their physical vessel or their physical vehicle, and they're going to be catapulted into this realm, this different dimension that they don't even understand, but it's more like a dream. So they're going to be, everybody, it's going to just wipe over us. Like, I see this in my mind. Like, this isn't something I read. It's going to wipe over us like a windshield wiper goes, wipes off the rain off your windshield. Like, or like when you clean your video on YouTube and it has the little slider that you can see the before and after, and you slide it and you watch, that point where the slider moves is the eraser, or like on an old Etch-a-Sketch, when you take the eraser or the little thing, you slide it and it erases everything. Like, we're going to go through a field of of basically frequencies that retune our frequency. And when it retunes our frequency, it's not going to be us all dying, okay, but it's going to be the death of everybody in terms of physical existence, in this dimension. So there's going to be people that survive in this reality still, okay? And the people that are able to basically survive and keep it together are going to be the people that are able to fortify their shield or their aura or their energy, and able to be able to do that, you need to not use your consciousness, okay? Because if you try to use your conscious mind, there's not going to be anything there to use it for. So that's what the whole message with the gold, when I was in Hollywood and trying to get the little pieces of gold, and it kept disappearing every time I got a pile, because with no body, gold doesn't matter, okay? Gold means nothing without somewhere to spend it or somewhere to get money for it. And, things that are, what I'm trying to say is that's a representation of this physical realm. And in this physical realm, we use our consciousness. But in the spiritual realm, we don't use our consciousness. We use the opposite of our consciousness. So, depending on your frequency or your vibration is going to be depending on the separation and who goes where and how it happens. And it's the end of one cycle and the beginning of a new, or the beginning of the age of Aquarius. It's what all these ancient prophecies and things of that nature basically are trying to tell us is going to happen. And the reason I said about the whole immune system analogy in the beginning is because it's like there's so many people that believe in the doom and gloom, and in the fear mongers and all this stuff. There's so many people that are promoting this fear that they're actually simultaneously manifesting it, but they're also channeling it. So it's not like they're just creating this planet. They are, but they aren't, because they understand that it exists, okay, and it's coming around. Okay, so getting back to what I was trying to say, I'm very long-winded. I apologize, but there's just so many pertinent facts that reinforce what I'm trying to explain, and I want people to really understand, because people don't understand unless they can wrap their mind around it and understand how the conclusion was reached. And that's that's why I'm trying to give these supporting factors. But the point being is, I seen this comet coming. Okay, now this is one thing that I don't understand. I seen the comet coming, but the comet turned into a ball of lights. Okay, and an impact never took place. So I don't think that it needed to take place, because the ball of lights is symbolic for illumination. Okay, so I believe, or it could have been, I'm just, these are little details that I just ponder, and I overanalyze things. I tend to, but the point is I wouldn't have been shown a trajectory otherwise. So I believe there's more to this comet event than just the comet hitting. Okay, there's going to be a large comet that hits, and it's going to be, I believe, around the 4th of July this year. But then there's going to be another event that takes place in August or September, and I posted that original video that I did, talking about all this, because I was given the events, but I wasn't given a year, and a lot of times these messages come days apart. They'll be I'll get this bit and this bit and this bit, and I'm only human, so I jump to conclusions too, and I jump the gun, and I don't I've had to learn to like I said, this just hit me in the face 3 years ago. So I've mastered it to the best of my ability thus far, but I still every day is learning, and every day I'm showing new things, But there's these messages are in sequence, and I was just happened to be when I got a certain set of messages, it was in August I believe it was in August. And, there's going to be an event that takes place in August. So I assumed that because of the intensity of the visions that I was getting, that it was going to be that August, which was just this past August 2016. So, that's when I originally had posted the first video that I had posted. And I put in caption there, it will be 2017, because what I didn't do was look at the numbers. And this is another thing, but numerology, I'm a 4-4-37-4. And I don't want to divulge too much personal information, but fours are, I'm a 4. And everything, I see 43 and 44 everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Every time. I mean, I can't look at the clock without it being, I just did, and it's 5:25. But I mean, literally every time I look at the clock, it's either like 12:43 or 12:44 or 5:44. It's just and I mean, like, ridiculous. So anyway, I didn't look at the numbers. So the 4 and the 4 is the 8th month, and everything for me is numbers. So with the 7 and the 8, the 8s, I just didn't look at a lot of things of messages that I was shown, that I got after the fact, because I didn't have them yet. And like I said, I just thought it was so important to get the information out. So going into this year, the government, the reason that Hillary Clinton was, they were trying to get her in there so badly is because all of their vested interest is in her. They spent $61 million for Jay-Z to come perform at her last rally. That's a lot of money for one rally, and to lose it. And she didn't pay that money. She had an investor that paid that money, and that investor just paid $61 million for nothing because she lost, on top of all the other millions and millions, and all their legal dealings with the Clinton Foundation and everything. So anyway, Donald Trump is now supposed to be going in as president. This is live news last night. I am putting a video up tonight. Live news last night. They said that Obama has said that if he would have ran for a third term, that he would have won. And him and Trump are arguing right now. This is world news. This is headline news. This was the story last night on the news. So Obama said that he would have won the election, and Trump said you should say that. And they started having words and going back and forth. And Obama just happens to be traveling to all of these foreign nations before his presidency is up on the 20th or whatever. That's to secure their plans for what they plan on happening. So
a lot of people think he's just going in for the UN, and he's trying to jockey for a position of being the next UN leader after he leaves the presidency.
Well, see, that's true to a degree, because but this planet's still coming in. So the UN, is really, people are losing sight that it is with the UN, but he doesn't need to become the head of the UN, because Obama already leads everything. Obama is the one. Okay, Obama is the head of the UN. That's why he sat in at the head of the UN. Obama already runs everything. And, I honestly believe that, all this stuff going on with the Antarctic right now, and with the UFOs and da-da-da-da-da, people say that they're going to plan a fake invasion and all this other stuff. Well, if the Nazis are still down in Antarctica and have a base, then America has definitely squashed their beef with them. And, because they're down there, or maybe they haven't, but either way, if they decide to try to take over the world again, then there's your fake alien invasion, and there's the means to do it. And if it's the entrance to the inside of the Hollow Earth, like everybody says, then they're either way. What I mean? They're this whole UFO thing and this whole everything that's going on. Obama is basically the ringleader of all the stuff that's going on right now, and we'll see. This is something that I've looked for the answer on, but I'm too emotionally tied to this. I've got to separate, and I really haven't, spent too much time on it, but I think I'm actually going to do that. But I don't think that this transition is going to be a smooth one with Trump going into office. I think that, that something is going to happen, because, they basically just handed over all of their, all of the money that they stole from us to build their underground bases, and all of their plans that they've, all the militarization of all of the police, and, all the FEMA stuff, and all the stuff that they've been preparing for since 1982 when they discovered this planet. All the stuff that they've been preparing for is at risk. And Trump's in cahoots with these people, and we've all been, we've all got the 52 fake out, and or he's the one to basically reseize our things that have been built, and reallocate the things that they've been building in the bases and everything to the people for this event, and I honestly believe that the reason that Obama is going around to all these nations before the last day is because he has till the last day before he declares martial law or shuts everything down. He still has another, almost a month, 4 weeks or whatever. He still has time. So I believe, that he's going around to each one of these leaders, and this is the final, meet in person. This is the final thing. This is what's going to happen. Now, Obama's released numerous things stating about him taking a third term and enacted all these executive decisions and all these things. Everything has been put in place. Okay, everything has been put in place to lock this country down. Everybody knows it. Everything's been put in place. And do you honestly believe that they're going to just let Donald Trump go in there and take over everything and change everything that they worked so hard and spent every bit of their money to build? Absolutely not. It's to me, it's a no-brainer. Now, if you believe that this planet is truly coming in and is truly going to affect us, then you have to understand that, I'm not even going to speak in if you think, because, in the WikiLeaks emails, it clearly states about the planet, and it clearly states about the aliens aren't going to stand for space being weaponized, and it clearly states...
You know what? I'm going to jump in real quick, because I read those emails from WikiLeaks, and all those emails was a concerned citizen that saw obviously a bunch of YouTube videos, so he wrote to his congressman that he was concerned about Nibiru, and he said, well, where's all the money going and all the underground bunkers? So a lot of the stuff you're saying is clear without a shadow of a doubt. I'm not trying to be rude here, but it's not clear, and it's not without a shadow of a doubt. It's people's information, and it's combined with the internet and what people think. So there's a lot of information out there that says that WikiLeaks is used as a diversion tactic or wag the dog type website. So you can come up with a few emails and say, oh, well, that person sent an email to the congressman saying Planet X is real, so it must be real. And then you're going to get a million other people on the internet that are going to see that one title, and they're not even going to find out the true information, and they're going to think Planet X is real. And so in reality, it could be a completely other topic, and they're using it as a diversion tactic. So I just want people to be aware of that WikiLeaks information wasn't without a shadow of a doubt. It was somebody that was just writing an email.
I honestly, I respect that, but that was just something that I was saying. Regardless of WikiLeaks, I didn't see what I've seen through WikiLeaks. It has nothing to do with WikiLeaks. I've seen it. Okay, I know that it's there, and I know what's coming, and I've seen a comet hit, and I've seen the things that are about to take place, and everything that I see. That's why I spent so long in the beginning talking about, the different events that had taken place to show people, this is what, the warning that I was given, and this is how it played out, because those are things that, confirm, so regardless of whether or not, the WikiLeaks is true or not, I don't even concern myself. I like to stay educated on things, and I read them as well. And it was actually in the Podesta emails where I read it, and it wasn't a concerned person. It was someone in the DNC that was communicating the file that I seen anyway. You may have seen a different one, but the one I seen was I actually could pull. I'm not going to take. I mean, it's in one of the videos I have actually. So if you go,
I'd like to take a look at that, because if you show me some insider info where you've got a Department of Defense contractor or somebody that's got guaranteed information.
No, it's not Department of Defense
contractors that can come out and say something, and because they've got that prestigious title of being a defense contractor, they could say that the world was actually square, and then, oh my gosh, now the world is not flat or round, it's square now. That's going to be the next conspiracy. The world is actually square, ladies and gentlemen. We've all just been lied to all these years.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the WikiLeaks, I mean, they have a record for being, 100% right, whatever. But that's really
100% right.
Yeah, WikiLeaks has never published anything that's been wrong. I mean, they have a perfect record. They've never put, and that's why they take so long to release their documents, because they, check everything every which way possible first before they release anything to make sure that their reputation is impeccable. Because if they had one email come out that was a fake, that completely, gives them no credibility for everything else that they publish. So that's why they're, Elliot Assange is so, vehement about keeping, everything, right on, just like with, with Snowden. There's many things that have been released about this through the channels of, different officials and different whistleblowers and leaks. There's a lot of people that have come forward, and I mean, I really don't want to lose people with, who's right and who's wrong, because it's just like the UFO thing, people can believe what they want to believe. The point is I've seen what I'm telling you I've seen, and I'm just trying to basically relate it to people in information that they've heard or information that they know, and relate it or reference to that. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and let me jump in real quick, and I'm not trying to interrupt, but I respect that and I appreciate that. And I think that everybody has a right to their information and their opinion, and that's why I do my best to give an open platform on Leak Project. And once in a while, I still have to interject my opinions and the information that I've seen, because it takes a lot to convince me of Planet X or a UFO. Have I seen UFOs? Yeah, I mean, I've seen the rod-shaped UFOs in the sky. I've had confirmation of that. It wasn't on any substances of any type. I might have been on some coffee. But other than that, and I've seen some very strange things. I've never seen Planet X. I've never seen Nibiru. I've seen so much disinformation on it that it kind of makes me question the whole thing. But then I've been told by insiders, literally insiders, that work or have worked for the military with very high-level clearances and positions, that have said it is absolutely real without a shadow of a doubt. So I can just take things with, I can just take what I see and speculate. So once again, they're just my opinions. That's why I think, especially as a reporter, it's good to stay neutral on the topic to get the information out there, because if you're biased one way or the other and you really push that, well, then you might miss the real story.
Right. No, and I appreciate you picking further, and that's why I generally don't like to refer, when I make my videos. That's why I place the specific sources and facts of the information. That way people can see it for themselves, because he said she said is bullshit. He said she said never stands, and I don't usually do the he said she says. But like I said, I was simply just referring to the WikiLeaks because they are very credible, and I was just saying that it was referenced in there. But regardless of WikiLeaks, that's not what my platform is based on. So not to undermine what I'm saying, but I'm talking.
And I don't know of anything that's I can't think of one person that's been 100% right on everything. As a matter of fact, if I could find one person or one website that was 100% right all the time, that would be my best friend. That would be my best source of information. I would have that connected to my smartphone. I would be looking at it hourly for updates. Right. I mean, that's like the Oracle. If you can have something that's 100% accurate all the time, and that's better than gold. That's priceless.
Well, see, that's the reason is because there's more than one person in this world. So, variables change. Nothing's ever, variables change and things change. So, you can't, that's why we all have free will, and people are people can do anything they want at any point in time. So, things change. But anyway, the point is this planet is coming in, okay? And I was shown these things, and I was basically shown that that a comet is going to hit in the West Coast. There's going to be, basically a lifting of. Okay, so we're going to pass through this frequency is going to pass over us that basically catches the frequencies that are like it. It's like electricity is like a magnet, and it's going to basically catch the frequencies that are similar in a net and pull them from the lower frequencies. And that's what the ascension is. That's what the event is. That's what, all these people have been talking about, how we fell from, that's the fall from grace is when our frequency fell, and there's more that goes with this with, as we rotate around the sun rotates around, the center of the universe, there's a positive and a negative. So, we rotate in a positive and a negative as well. You got to apply anything in this physical reality, you have to apply this duality to, because we live. Everything is if there was a single nature, we wouldn't exist. The duality is what makes us exist. Is because that's what gives us our scope. And but this planet, like I'm talking about, is going to. It's not going to. I don't even honestly believe it's going to come too close to us. It's not going to hit us, for sure. But it is going to change the frequency, like I've been talking about through this whole video, the frequencies of everything. Its magnetic field and ours are going to interact, And our magnetic field is already failing and has been for years. And all these anomalies that are taking place right now with the reversal of the magnetopause that just happened. I'm sure everybody, there's another great channel, BP Earthwatch. I'm sure everybody's, that's really investigates has found their way to him. He has a lot of great information on, what's happening in real time with, the things that are going on. And, a lot of people are saying about this wave of energy that's coming in from a magnetar, and are we in danger of being hit? And the reason that the magnetopause reversed, and how another channel, this is the hot topic on YouTube right now, with Dutch Sense saying that with the wave that went through the entire readout, that they're saying that basically just came out of nowhere, and that I guess they're trying to say was a glitch. These different things that are happening, the huge split that just formed in Antarctica, and all the things that are happening worldwide right now are a direct reverberation of this planet, and another force coming in to affect us. For the magnetopause to reverse the way it did, something needed to affect it that was stronger than our sun. Okay, because the sun was the opposite end of that reversal. So that means the sun's pushing, and something pushed harder than the sun. Okay, now that's a pretty freaking that's a feat right there. That's not like, that's serious shit. That's not something to just blink your eyes at. Like, that's like, when truly think about that. What has the potential to reverse the sun's energy? So if you logically thinking, the only thing that would be able to reverse the sun's energy would be another sun, or something of equivalent energy, or maybe an energy burst or something like that. I honestly believe that was the effect of, we spin, so that means that we're 360 degrees as the sun, going around the sun. And it just so happens that Antarctica is the best place to see this planet and all that. Regardless, I mean, if you don't believe in it, I'm not here to convince you in it. I'm just here to give you my story of what I've seen happening. So all of the data and all of the facts right now are leading to a certain conclusion. And I started investigating this stuff after I was shown what I was shown. Now, I was shown the things that I was shown before I had the information that I have now, or that I know the things I have now. That's what led me on my chase, was being shown these crazy visions and seeing that there was merit to them by, like I said, with the multiple things, the teeth, and the deaths, and the lights on the guardrail, and just multiple stupid little inconsequential things that solidified my belief in myself, and showed me how to interpret this and to understand it. And I was warned specifically in this last message that I was given to move, and I was warned to move to the mountain chain that goes right up the eastern coast, that, like I said, that goes from like Kentucky towards New York. And I was shown that there's still going to be like high winds and things of that nature, but I was urgently told to move there. I'm in the process of moving there as we speak, and that's how serious I am. And I was told, like in my last vision, I'm just going to give a couple little details. One of them, I was told the specific name of a town, which I'm not going to say, but I gave you a range. I was this name of this town, and then I seen a dress, like a woman's dress. Okay, so as I seen the dress in my mind, I said it out loud because I was recording it. I said a dress, and then I'm like, wait a minute, a dress, address. I'm like, holy shit! And then I seen a teddy bear, and that's my son. And I was and then I was told move 3 times, urgently. So I know that when I'm told things like this, not to ignore it. And I know that what my senses and what my ancestors and my spirit guides show me always happens. And it's not some bamboozled jibber jabber that I'm just creating these psychotic episodes. Like this is for real, man. And these are the things that I was shown. So I am coming out to warn people that if you are in the West Coast, you are not safe. If you are in the middle of the country, you are not safe. Okay, and if you're on the coastlines, you are not safe, and you don't have long. I believe that within the next 6 months, okay, the next 6 months, that it won't be a question of if anymore, and what ifs and all this stuff. I believe way sooner than that we're going to have proof. But I'm just saying, as a backdrop, 6 months. And if you take this information and you listen and move forward with it, then I accomplished what I'm trying to do. I'm not selling this. I'm not trying to make money off of this. I'm not trying to sell you any ideas. I'm telling you, I could have tried to do anything. People bullshit all day long for money. Okay, money isn't going to save you. Okay, and what you need to realize is that there's going to be a cleansing of the earth, and after that cleansing takes place, the people that are left to build are going to have to basically structure a different society, because the way that things are now, there can be no other way, because we're headed for destruction. So this is absolutely out of necessity, and the people that don't take heed and they go on about it, it really doesn't matter, because like I said, there is no death anyway. It's just a matter of this lifetime, and you get so far into sometimes there's words that don't, well, most of the time words don't describe. We have these primitive noises that we make to communicate with each other. Like that's how we talk to each other, when we could be using telepathy and empathy to understand what each other speak, and speaking on a broader basis. But those are the things that I'm going over on my channel. Those are the things that I'm trying to help people out with. If your viewers are interested in learning more about what I've been speaking about, then like I said, Divine Vigilant.
And just so our listeners know, it's D-A-Vine, not Divine. It's Davine, and you've also got a logo of Anubis on the front of your YouTube channel. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I do a little bit of graphic design stuff, and the
little
Anubis,
dark but cool.
Yeah, Anubis has a meaning to me. Like that was but yeah, so if people are interested in learning more about this, like I said, come over to the channel. Rex, I watch your show. I respect what you do, and I like your stance, the unbiased stance. You absolutely are obligated to question the people that are on your show and the information that they're releasing to your viewers. And you're doing a great job at remaining unbiased. And we're all just I consider you a brother in what we're doing. We're all looking for answers. Everybody's trying to find their way. And the more that we can come together and agree on things is the better off that we're going to be. And a lot of times the simplest answer, we overcomplicate and use our consciousness to complicate. Like I really hope that people understood what I was talking about with the consciousness thing. But I'm not here to promote fear or anything like that. I'm here to tell you that if you use the information that has been given to you and plan accordingly, that that you will be fine. There will be some changes. Life as you know it probably is going to change. But it's not like death and doom and gloom for everybody. There is going to be some events that are taking place that like I said are going to be unprecedented, and that we've never seen before in our lifetimes. But they've happened many times, and it's a natural cycle. It's like I said, it's to keep the status quo. And as far as people and fears and things of that nature. If you have some type of doubt to the things that I'm saying, what you do is remove everything from your mind, ask your spirit guides, or ask your ancestors or spirit guides what the answer is to the question. He that asks shall receive, and it's 100% true. I'm here to tell you, this is my testament. Beware of the false prophets, because the false prophets are the people that are trying to sell you something, and not in the name of good. And if you don't have clarity on issues, the real place to look is within. And like I said, the only way to go about doing that is to clear your mind, to ask the question, and look for the first response that you get, the first feeling, the first whatever it is that you get. If this rings true or not. if it rings true, you feel with your heart. You think with your heart rather than your mind, because that, they've proven that your heart has the same basically transmitters that your brain has. And, a lot of people think with their brain or their consciousness. Thinking with your heart is what you need to learn how to do. I didn't say that sooner. I should have said that sooner. Thinking with your heart is what it's all about. And when you think with your heart, it's a different process, and it's the opposite of thinking with your mind. So you look at your mind, look at your subconscious as your heart, and your conscious as your brain, as your mind. And that's a pretty, whether you disagree or agree, it's you got to understand the principle of what I'm saying. So look for the answers with your own heart, weigh it with your own heart, and if there's credence to it, then follow through on what you're shown to do by listening for the answers. If not, then go on about your business. I'm sorry that I wasted your time. Well, it's not a waste of time, but I'm sorry that that you feel that way. Let's say that. And again, I want to thank you, Rex, for having me on the show. And I know that I was here and there and fragmented and all over. But excuse me, this is the first time that I've ever done an interview. This is the first time that I've ever even used Skype. Rex can attest to that.
Once again, it was great to have you on the show. And folks, check out Davine. Okay, so let's jump back to your YouTube channel again.
Davine Vigilant, Davine Vigilant, Vigilant.
Awesome. Thanks again, Cino. This is great. And until next time, be the change you want to see, my friend.
Just trust me on this.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this edition of Leak Project. I'm your host, Rex Bear, and we have Cino Davis with us. Now, this is very interesting. The way that he got in contact with me was incredible. Like, I got an email a few weeks ago. He says, Rex, I'm interested in doing an interview with you. I'm a legitimate psychic. I have some life-changing info that you will not find anywhere else. I promise you that for whatever reason I have been chosen to deliver a message. It's extremely important to get out. Please contact me ASAP to discuss this. So I thought about it and I said, okay, I get tons of emails all the time. A lot of people that claim they've got pictures of Nibiru or, giant reptilian shapeshifters with 50 eyeballs on their arms. And I'm being sarcastic about that second part, but I get a lot of very interesting emails. So I said, okay, I'm going to reach out to this guy, and something felt right. So here we are, and he's got a really cool YouTube channel that he just set up that I would recommend you guys go to if you're interested in knowing more about Cino after this interview. So I will give that to you right now. It's Davine Vigilant. Now, the Divine isn't spelled like your typical divine. It's D-A, Vine Vigilant on YouTube and on Facebook. So, hey, thanks a lot for joining us, Cino, here at the Leak Project. How the heck are you?
Great. Glad to be on the show. Glad you reached back out to me, Rex.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Anytime that I feel there's important information that needs to get out there, if somebody reaches out to me and says they have important information, I'm willing to hear what that is. So glad that you're here. Had a few minutes to talk to you off the show. Obviously, it'd be nice to know a little bit about you before we get into this pertinent information that you feel we need to know about. So tell us a bit about yourself, and let's go from there.
Right. Well, I'll just start with a little bit of background. I've never really been into the whole metaphysical or the occult or the psychic stuff, or even the political conspiracy theories or anything involved in that nature. I've always pretty much, I do construction as a profession. I'm one of those people that are, very logical and no BS type of person. I've just, like I said, I never really was involved in anything like that. So my mother started started using tarot cards, and I never believed in them and thought that they were an accurate, tool for, for whatever it is that they do. I viewed them as something that was, I have a little bit of background. I was in Awanas when I was, young, and I went to Sunday school and things of that nature. So I do have some background with the Christian faith. So I was superstitious, and I didn't believe in the tarot card thing. And she would always try to give me readings, and I would always resist and tell her, I don't want nothing to do with them. Don't pull no cards on me, and just basically keep it away from me. But regardless, so that turned me off to the whole psychic thing. I thought it was just a bunch of BS. So in about 2006, I had basically this person. I was working. This kid I met that it just so happened his name was Seth, and that's a very important name in the Bible as well. But he started, he would talk about things like Nephilim and things of that nature, and just like David Icke and all that conspiracy stuff, and I had never been exposed to anything like that prior to meeting this guy. So he would talk about these things all the time, and I would kind of half-heartedly listen and just kind of laugh to myself about some of the stuff that he said, but it was fascinating. So nevertheless, I after that job had been done and over with, I started looking into some of these things on my own. So there was a when I'm sure your viewers can relate, when you first find out about all this information that we're deprived, and basically it's all shrouded in lies and conspiracy and this, that, and the third. When you first get into it, it's astonishing, and you want to know as much as you can, and you feel like you've had the wool pulled over your eyes, and you want to find the truth. So that's what I did. I embarked on my quest for the truth, and after countless hours, I'm sure everybody can relate that, like I said, that's into it. After countless hours of just looking for any bit of information that I could on various topics and subjects, I got a good foundation in all this stuff that's going on, and I was able to basically use my own intuition to decipher truths from fictions based upon my own logic and my deductive reasoning, and so on. So moving forward, I wanted to get a kind of a basis of where I come from and my belief system on it. So I believe it was 2009. I ended up getting into a little bit of trouble for some marijuana, and as I was sitting, I had to go through the system, and as I was sitting inside of that place that when we're being scolded by the government, I guess, I was looking at some trouble, and I thought to myself, I was along that at that point in time, I was of the manifest. Well, I didn't entirely believe it. I just thought that there could be some merit to it. So I basically was looking at a impossible, hopeless situation that I was looking at. I got set up by a good friend for some marijuana for quite a bit, and I was looking at quite a bit of time. And I told myself that if there's something to this, if this actually works, then it needs to work now, obviously. So for 2 months, every day, I forced all thoughts of negative outcomes out of my mind. I continued, every day I was just positive, and I knew that it would work itself out. I knew that that I had nothing to worry about, and since I've been young, I've always had this weird thing about me that when there's, like, for example, if there was a hurricane going on, I don't get scared, I get excited. And it's this weird thing where when I'm in danger, or when I have something that's pressing, down on me, rather than, fear it, I kind of embrace it and just turn the energy into something else. I've done it innately since I've been a kid, and so I continued, to research for a couple more years on things, and I started applying these things in my life. I'm sure, everybody's heard of the book The Secret and things of that nature. I don't really agree too much with The Secret, because that's another one of those things that have been put out there to give you half truths. But so anyway, after basically, I'd say a good 6 or 7 years of research, and I started applying certain techniques and certain things, I had, let's say, my epiphany. We're going to go to 2013, and I've always wondered how these people, I've seen many psychic shows, you see psychic detectives on TV, and there's obviously something to it. So I've always been curious as to how it's possible. How do these people do this? Like, how is it possible, and why can't everybody do it? So I've always, been curious. So I can pinpoint this to the second week of November 2013. Now, I do music. I'm a producer. I sing. I do all types of stuff. But I was sitting in my studio, and I was basically looking at the screen. I don't know if, I'm sure some people know what the music programs look like, Pro Tools or whatever. There's a screen, and you move your sound waves around it, just like when you're editing a video. And the back wall represents time, and it's by the milliseconds, and everything has to be in sync, and you can hear the frequencies and the octaves when you put a note, when you put a voice wave, in a place that isn't correct. It doesn't click in, it doesn't ring out. And I was, this was when I first started getting into production, and I was just basically sitting there one day, just moving stuff around, and just this understanding of time just started coming to me. And as I was sitting there, I went to blink, and as I blinked, in my mind's eye, like the way you see things when you visualize them, I seen a hawk, like a hawk, fly through my face. It was eye to eye, beak to nose, and it flew. It was the most vivid picture I've ever seen in my mind, and it flew directly through my face. Like, as I blinked, in that split second, it just went and just flew through my face. And it was pretty unsettling. I've never experienced anything that I didn't control. Physiologically or through my mind or whatever. I've never experienced anything happen to me like that. So I decided to go in that same pal talk that I knew my mother used to go into, and look for a psychic to ask what that meant. So I go in, and I go into the one room, and I basically, I just shot the question out. I said, I don't want to sound crazy or anything, but I just had a hawk fly through my face, eye to eye, nose to beak, and is there anybody that can tell me what it means? That can tell me what it means? And nobody really responded, and I get this private message, and the username, and I've spoken with her since, so I told her that I was going to be doing this so I can release the name, but the username was Talking Hawk to You, with the letter, or the number 2 and the letter U, Talking Hawk to You. And she messaged me, and she says, that's a powerful sign from the Creator trying to get your attention, And I was like, well, let me rewind this a little bit. So 3 months before this, this is something I can't leave out. I'm at my mother's house, and she's on this new deck that she got of these oracle cards, and and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And my mom's not a crazy person either. She's very logical as well, and whatever. She's not like what you'd think is this crackpot, Miss Cleo. So anyway, she's like, let me give you a reading. Let me give you a reading. I'm like, no. She's like, come on. So I'm like, all right, go for it. So she pulled 3 cards on me, and one was a frog, and one thing else. I don't remember the exact cards, but I remember the message. So the frog was, she's like, intuition and and basically the universe is going to open up to you, and all these powers, and this crazy stuff is going to happen, and you're going to meet a shaman, and they're going to guide you, and all this crazy stuff. So I was like, well, that's pretty cool, you know, and so whatever, that was that. So I just kind of blew it off. And she's like, see, it says you're going to meet a shaman, and here you are, and I'm your mommy, and I'm the shaman. So I was just like, yeah, whatever, you know. So 3 months goes by, and that experience took place, and this woman messages me. And she's like, you know, the creator's trying to, you know, basically send you a message and get your attention. And you need to start listening to your inner voice and answers and your spirit guides. And at that point, the word spirit guide, I had a gist of what it meant. And because the events that transpired after the hadn't happened yet. So she basically tells me all this stuff, and it happens that she was house sitting for these people in Canada, and she hadn't been on. She wasn't a regular internet person, and she, like I said, she was house sitting for these people, and they basically set her up on the internet and on Pal Talk to keep her busy while she was there, you know, watching these people's house for a week. So she was only on for 1 week, and in that 1 week period, you know, I went in, put that in, and she messaged me. So it turns out that she's a shaman, and she lives, like I said, in Canada, and she's, you know, out every day on, you know, these spirit quests and things like that. She goes hiking, and she's a very grounded, spiritual type healer, and, you know, things of that nature. So she started explaining, you know, some things to me that started making sense with, you know, I've always seen animals my whole life. Like when I meet people, if I meet somebody, I get the impression I meet them right away. And you know, before there was a written or spoken language, the natives used basically the language of animals, and, you know, hieroglyphics, they use animals and symbols and signs, and, you know, there's been the animal language before there was the spoken or written language, because animals have certain characteristics that distinguish them from others. And each one of those characteristics, you know, can be basically interpreted as a certain specific message. That's why we have, in astrology, you have a horoscope, and that's true as well with the native beliefs, but you have a totem. I came to find out that my totem is a hawk, coincidentally enough, and that word coincidence, used lightly, you know, nothing happens by coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. I'm sure people have heard like, so he's a hawk, and that blew my mind, because, you know, I had been hit in the face by a hawk. So and not only that, but Talking Hawk to You was the one who responded to me asking what it meant. So you know, like I said, we start talking, and I'm just going to get into when it started happening. So the one morning I go to sit on the toilet like I do every morning, and as I'm sitting there, I have this toy top spinning in my mind, a toy top, T-O-P, top. And I'm looking at this top in my mind's eye, or in my third eye, and I started going down this different line of thinking. I'm like, you know, if somebody was trying to communicate to you and they were only able to use pictures, and you had to assign that picture one word, what is that word? And it's your base interpretation for what that picture means. So to me, a top would mean balance. To you, it may mean something completely different. There's nothing wrong. It's individualized by your interpretation of what these things mean. So my interpretation of a top would be balance. All right, yeah, so I seen this top, and I interpret a top as balance. So I'm like, all right, great, balance. So you know, that was that. I start going on about my day, and later on in the day, I went to work, and like I said, I do construction. I build homes. I'm a contractor, and I'm in the truck, and you know, we're riding, you know, two of the guys I work with are riding down the road, and I had this word pop into my mind, echinacea, and I wasn't quite too sure what echinacea was. I thought it was a plant. Well, I knew it was a plant, but I thought it was a flower at first. I wasn't really too sure on what it was. So I told myself, you know, I got to remember to look that up when I get home. So you know, I get home, I couldn't remember the word. You know, when you try to remember something, I just couldn't remember it. So anyway, I'm sitting there, and for whatever reason, I start looking up something about trains. And so in the middle of doing this, I go in to take a shower. And as I'm in the shower, I have shampoo in my hair, and I'm washing my hair. And I closed my eyes to wash the shampoo out. And as I did that, I seen it was a tiger. I can't remember what the first animal was, but it was there was something. Then I think it was a tiger. It was a tiger, then a seal, than a bear, and the bear looked at me and turned back around like to walk into a cave. So I'm thinking to myself, what the hell could that possibly mean? So I finishing up, and Rex, I swear to you on everything that I love, as I closed my eyes again, I've seen it was like I warped somewhere.